Horrifying moments. How Russia lost battalions worth of vehicles in 48 hours of Avdiivka assault. Russia has suffered one of its deadliest days since President Vladimir Putin launched his full-scale invasion of Ukraine, according to Kiev's military. Moscow is reported to be losing a large number of troops and equipment, as Kiev pushes on with a counter-offensive to reclaim its occupied territory, and as clashes intensify in Avdiivka, an industrial hub in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region. Ukrainian and Russian casualties have mounted since October, when Russia mounted its biggest offensive in months in an attempt to capture Avdiivka, pouring in thousands of troops, tanks, and armored vehicles. Moscow is said to have accumulated around 40,000 troops for a fresh assault on the town, which is considered to be the gateway to the city of Donetsk. The number of Russian troops that Kiev's military says has been liquidated in the war has gradually increased from between 300 and 600 a day since early July to between 600 and 1,000 soldiers since early October, coinciding with Moscow's Avdiivka push. The UK's Defence Ministry said in an intelligence update last month that Russia likely had committed elements of up to 8 brigades to Avdiivka, which have likely suffered some of Russia's highest casualty rates of 2023 so far. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also said last month that Moscow had lost at least a brigade trying to capture the strategic town. A Russian brigade can consist of between 2,000 and 8,000 personnel, according to open sources. Russian forces have lost about a battalion's worth of vehicles, including 15 tanks, during a 2-day period of its assault on the settlement of Avdiivka. Open-source intelligence account OSINT Technical said dozens of Russian military vehicles had been lost as the Kremlin ramped up its offensive toward Ukrainian-held Avdiivka, just north of the city Donetsk, which is in the region of the same name in the east of Ukraine. In an October 12 post, OSINT Technical said in an X, formerly Twitter, that Russia lost roughly 13 artillery pieces, 15 tanks, 33 infantry fighting vehicles, armored personnel carriers, 6 trucks, and 14 cars vans. OSINT Technical said in a separate X post that while it could not guarantee the vehicle losses had happened in the last 48 hours, many appear to be consistent with the current weather and foliage, and Ukrainian videos geolocated to the area have shown significant losses. Avdiivka has been under heavy Russian artillery fire in an attempt to encircle the settlement, which before the war was also the location of Ukraine's largest coke fuel producer. Michael Clark, professor at the War Studies Department at King's College London in the UK, told media while he could not confirm the equipment losses, he believed they are plausible, and that Russia is throwing considerable resources at Avdiivka to avoid a Ukrainian counteroffensive. He said, "Russia has put in a big effort at Avdiivka because they probably fear Ukrainian breakouts south of Bakhmut that begin to motor and outflank Donetsk, which would be a very big problem for them." So, Avdiivka is an attempt at a local counterattack to distract Ukrainian forces. Russian commanders seem under instruction from the Kremlin to attack all across the front while they play for time until the weather turns. There isn't much operational grand strategy behind it, just the grand strategy of handing on and not losing. The battle for Avdiivka comes as Ukrainian forces continue their counter-offensive with the aim to push back the Russians from the east of the country, where they have managed to capture several strategic cities and positions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in an October 12th X post, "Avdiivka, we are holding our ground. It is Ukrainian courage and unity that will determine how this war will end. We must all remember this." The US think tank, the Institute for the Study of War, said in an October 11th update that Russian forces localized offensive operations in the Avdiivka area. It added, "Geolocated footage shows that Russian gains around Avdiivka are concentrated to the southwest of Avdiivka, and Russian forces have not completed an operational encirclement of the settlement and will likely struggle to do so, if that is their intent." Avdiivka is also a notoriously well-fortified and defended Ukrainian stronghold, which will likely complicate Russian forces' ability to closely approach or fully capture the settlement. The Donetsk and southern Zaporizhzhia regions continue to experience fierce fighting between Ukraine and Russia as both sides aim to advance their front lines. Russian President Vladimir Putin annexed Donetsk and Zaporizhzhia, along with 2 other regions last year, although his forces have not managed to maintain full control of them.
Наведен готов. Заряд полный. Заряд полный, да. Выстрел. Наводка восстановлена.